Duke and Darian Mensah have settled outside the courts. Our next guest is not surprised by that because he predicted it.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So now that Darian Mensah and Duke have settled, what happens next? And we're not just talking on the field, because on the field, we all know we're expecting Mensah to be a Hurricane, but is all the legal stuff behind everyone now? We will discuss that. We'll discuss why it made sense for the two sides to settle and why this happened. And we had to bring our legal expert back, not only because he was right about pretty much everything he said last Thursday when he was on with us, but also because we genuinely like you. Alan K. Fertel, sports and entertainment lawyer of Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. That's quite a mouthful. Joins us here again on Locked On Canes. So, Alan, we got an out-of-court settlement between Duke and Darian Mensah. He's now free to enroll and transfer, presumably at Miami. Why, in your mind, did it make sense for the two sides, both sides, to settle this out of court?
They say that a bad settlement beats good litigation. That's good for the clients, but it's not good for the lawyers, to be honest with you. It's the right thing to do. It's a bad look. Duke suing their player, Duke suing a student. It just, it goes against what Duke stands for, So the first thing is, it's better to resolve disputes. Most lawsuits get resolved, 85%. Only 15% go to trial. The second thing is, everyone was going to be in limbo, in purgatory. What was going to happen? What would have happened is there would have been an injunction hearing. One side wins, one side loses. If the kid wins, he goes to Miami. If the kid loses, he sits. And that's a really bad look because he really would have been harmed by sitting a year. Or two, or entering into the draft. And then he loses a lot of money, because they're making real money now. So it doesn't make sense to go into the draft unless you're going to be a first-round pick. So it made sense on both ends. Duke had gone, moved away. They had just brought in another quarterback. They cut their losses. UM didn't have another quarterback except for the two freshmen. So cooler heads prevailed. It's just a bad look for Duke to be suing the kid.
You had said to me last time you were on that I think that this is you speaking as a lawyer. You kind of hoped, like part of you hoped that this would go through litigation because it would have set a powerful precedent either way. So, I know as a Miami guy, you're probably pleased with the outcome,
Right.
but maybe as a lawyer, you were kind of looking to see what would happen if this did go through the courts.
I was looking at the big picture, okay? Because this is going to happen time and time again because the world is a copycat world. What's going to happen now are a lot of schools are going to say, man, those Duke lawyers were really good. They put the kid in a position where he had to come back or face sitting down. So that's one position. But the real thing for a lawyer is we need some regulation here, okay? So the only guidance, let's just call it guidance. If it goes to jury to verdict, and then it gets appealed, and then there's an appeal, there's a case, and there's an opinion, and the majority opinion says you can't have restrictive covenants in a NIL contract because that creates an employment relationship versus a student relationship, then other lawyers, other schools, legislatures understand that this really is not an employment relationship. It is a student NIL relationship, and you can't restrict them regardless of the contract. But then they're not going to pay as much money because they're not going to be sure that they're going to get the return on the investment. So for a lawyer, you want some direction from the courts, because we talk about the Wild West. I know that's an overstated statement, although I've been saying it for 5 years now. It's haphazard now. So you're going to have the same problem time and time again until such time as somebody actually says, you know what? I'm a man of principle. I'm not a man of money, or I'm a student athlete of principle and not money. And therefore it goes the distance and an opinion is rendered. And then that opinion becomes precedent. And then there's guidance. But for right now, we don't know what would have happened. So what do? We go and we poach other kids from other schools, even though they have NIL contracts that might be the type of contract that Mensah had.
So I know we covered how it made sense for both sides to settle, but I don't know. Is there either side you feel like is a bigger winner? Because maybe I feel like Mensah's the bigger winner because he gets to play, he gets to make a lot of money, and then like you mentioned, it's not the best look for Duke or any institution to be suing a student of theirs.
It depends. The settlement is confidential. They're not talking about numbers. They're not saying who was the one that paid. If Mensah, I know. Now that's like play for pay and pay for play. I mean, you said why Sirota Healthman Colin Bierman is difficult, man. Come on, it's been a long day today. 3 o'clock in the morning today. But let's go. Let's go back. I believe he won if he didn't go out of pocket. If UM is funding the lawsuit, is funding the settlement, then he won. He's now going to make more money at UM. He's going to have hopefully a better team around him. He's going to have more opportunities than in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. He's in Miami. He's bringing his wide receiver with him, his bud. He's not coming here just solo and not knowing anybody. He knows the guy to throw the square out to. He knows the guy to throw the curl to. He's got that guy, and he's got some really good receivers here. So, athlete won, Duke a half. Didn't lose. Duke had good lawyers. They put some stuff in. They took a risk. They tried to stop the transfer portal craziness. They gave it their best shot. And it wasn't a swing and a miss because they got money. Now, here's the key, though, Alex. What did UM do and what did UM get if they did something? So if they were involved in the payment, did they get a release from a tortious interference claim? Because remember, there's a lot of things going, there are a lot of tentacles to this thing. It's not just the Duke quarterback issue, it's the Duke Miami issue. And we know that Manny Diaz does not dig Mario. Okay?
No.
So I mean, you know that because Mario said we need a new culture when we come here. He sort of took a shot at Manny. Manny's had some good teachers. He knows the culture. He knew the culture of Miami. He just didn't recruit the way Mario recruits, and he didn't have NIL, and he didn't have the ability to poach. When back in the day, you sat. Okay, when Manny was here, you sit a year on a waiver, on transfer. You don't get the waiver. Here it's automatic because the law is different now. Yeah. So I go back to the issue of, did Miami fund the settlement? If Miami funded the settlement, I am sure that the settlement was more than just the number for the kid. It was a number for the kid plus a number for tortiously interfering. We don't know the number, so it's machinations back and forth. But the real issue becomes, is there going to be continued litigation with Miami? I don't believe so. I don't believe Miami would have let that happen, although they are a defendant against Wisconsin in the Xavier Lucas matter. So they know the terrain of defending a tortious interference claim. They've got counsel that's been doing it for about a year now. You just never know. But look, I'm a law alum at the UM. The first thing you do when you pay money is you get a release. So if Miami paid the settlement, got a release. And if they didn't, they're taking a crap shot because they're hoping that instead of a one and done Cam Ward and a one and done, they're getting a two. They got 2 years of eligibility on this kid, not one like they always do. So, pretty damn good. 2-for-1 on the years. They got a 2-for-1 on athletes. They're going to have a starting quarterback. They're not going to have to rely on a freshman. They have a chance to win a national championship, or at least be in contention to be in the national championship run. And Mario seems to be gaining some traction. He got a look from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't get the job, thank God, for the U.
Yeah, thank God.
Right. You know, McCarthy, right? McCarthy to make love to Aaron Rodgers seems to be the thing there. And we get. Let's go and try to run it back, man. We got a quarterback now. Come on.
You know, so thinking about something you said, and I don't know for sure what the answer is on this, but it was reported, I believe it was Pete Thamel of ESPN, and there have been so many reports on this matter, it's hard to keep them all straight, but, you know, like one of the reporters, I think it was Thamel, like went out of their way to report that, like, Miami was not involved in, like, the settlement negotiations. So I guess, like, that would imply it doesn't necessarily mean Miami isn't the one, you know, paying the settlement of the buyout. I think one way or another, Miami is, right? They're either paying Duke or they're giving the money to Mensah to pay Duke. But I don't know. But that may go back to something you said, Alan, that if Miami really wasn't involved, then maybe there is an opening down the road for them to become a defendant again.
100%. I mean, I called that last week when we spoke. No,
Yeah.
Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week.
Last week. Yeah.
It was like Thursday or something like that. So,
Yep.
Look, their field has green turf. Lawyers' fields have green cash. Okay? You know, they play on different fields. Okay?
Yeah.
The UM is fine. Stay in your lane, bro. Don't be defendants in litigation. It's not the smartest move. If anything, be a plaintiff if you have to be in litigation. Defense is difficult. People are chucking darts at you, not chucking the rock at you. They're chucking darts at you, and they're big darts with flame. So you try your best not to be a defendant. It's not a smart move or a good business practice. But there are some companies that are so aggressive, and I'm not talking about football now, I'm talking just companies, that they want to be sued. They want to be the rogue guy in the room, show everybody their muscle. I've got a great lawyer and he'll protect me. And that's great for the lawyers. I don't think it's great on a college look. This wasn't a good look, man. This bothered me. Let's just go forward. Miami's, they're big boys. They've got their lawyers. They know what they're doing. And they came in number 2 in the country, the best year in 25 years. Like I said to you, man, I was wearing the 2001 championship shirt. I wanted it so bad. I sort of, I got to be honest with you, in my heart of hearts, I just knew he was going to chuck an interception. Because he was so good.
Yeah.
And you just were waiting for the moment when he wasn't, and he just misread the coverage and he underthrew it short, and we all died in our beers. I wasn't drinking, but you know, all of us, everyone, it just took the wind out of our sails. And then all of a sudden we're possible defendants and we don't have a quarterback. It could have gotten so much worse, Al. We did well. We got out of it pretty unscathed. If the only thing we had to do was pay some money for the boatload of money that we had received from the Natty, it's going to be okay. No one's crying for UM. You know, no one cries for UM except us, the fan, who feels every day that we're persecuted by the world. It's always, I even saw like a Nevin Shapiro blog or a podcast. What are you talking
those are out
about?
there.
What are you talking about? That guy almost killed us single-handedly. And he's talking about the U. He should never have those letters in his mouth. It's like Will Smith, get out of my boom, smack him across the face. Get out of here. Nevin Shapiro on a Hurricane podcast, and it's his own podcast. Oh,
Yeah.
vomit, man.
It goes to show you how crazy 2026 is. You got teams suing their players. You got Nevin Shapiro podcasts. We'll continue our conversation here with sports and entertainment lawyer Alan K. Fertel as we get the full breakdown on the impact of this Darian Mensah Duke settlement. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, this is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who know, there's more to the score than what's on the screen. You know who moves the game forward? Mark Fletcher Jr. Amazing young man. Lost his father last year. Had his best 4 games in the college football playoff for Fletcher. And the junior going on senior running back could have left early for the NFL, but Mark Fletcher decided to give it one more year for the Canes. Mark Fletcher Jr. is going to be a key player on this Miami Hurricanes football team next year. And stories like this remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the field, dialing in every detail, giving it the extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. My friends, tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. You could upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Folks, thank you so much for being everydayers. And if you're with us every single day, make it official by joining the Everydayer Club. On the all-access tier of the Everydayer Club, you get exclusive episodes, exclusive Locked On Canes newsletter, one-on-one text messaging with me, also 15% off at the exclusive Locked On merch store. You want to try all of this, folks, go to lockedoncanes.supercast.com or click the link in the show notes below and become an all-access everydayer here on Locked On Canes. All right, folks, we got a lot more coming up on this awesome conversation, breaking down the Darian Mensah settlement with lawyer Alan K. Fertel. All right, so I want to ask you. We're joined by sports and entertainment lawyer Alan K. Fertel. Did anything I should say I know some things did, but what about this saga, if anything, surprised you in terms of Duke suing a player, maybe Mensah even taking it this far? Because a lot of people thought he might back down like Damon Williams at Washington did. And maybe go back to, because you mentioned what bothers you. What is it that bothered you about this situation?
I think you hit it on the head. I really thought he was going to fold the tent. I thought he was just saying, you know what? I'm not messing with Duke. I have $4 million. Walk away from 4. Sit down instead. That's not a smart business decision either for a young man. I mean, this money, if they handled it correctly, could be generational wealth early. Okay, he's in college, $8 million. Now, I don't know. You tell me. You get a good financial advisor. You get someone that you trust that won't rip you off, that puts you in the conservative investments. You don't have to work for the rest of your life as a 19-year-old. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's basketball stuff, if you know what I mean, because they're playing pro and they're going out in the first round. Kevin Garnett opened that up. I'm just going way, way, way back. And then LeBron did it. I mean, right out of high school, boom, you're generational wealth. And that's what all lawyers, sports lawyers, really want for their clients. Generational wealth. I'll give a little props to your favorite sports lawyer, Darren Heitner. I know you get me a little jelly when you tell me how much you love him, but he did a really good job. He did. Listen, I love him too, man. I'm proud of him. He was younger than me. He is younger than me. And, when he started out, he was just, excuse me, respectfully, a kid. And he's done it well. But he's put his clients in a good position. You know what he did really smart?
What?
He hired local counsel in Durham, North Carolina. Yeah. Man, that's a how y'all doing kind of place. Hey, judge, how's the wife? How the kids? And Darren is a Miami boy, okay? And that don't play in Raleigh, Durham. It's a how y'all doing kind of place. I'm not saying inside the university it's how y'all doing, because it's not. Outside the university, it sure is. And they were in state court, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, and he brought in a team that does more corporate law for restrictive covenants. And it was more the employment angle. And he was going to bang the employment angle and say to the NCAA and say to the judge, if you uphold this restrictive covenant, you are saying, in essence, the athlete is an employee. And if the athlete's an employee, then the school has not paid benefits. The school has not taken out taxes. The school has not matched the taxes. So there would have been real problems, real labor employment issue problems, if the decision was upholding the contract, allowing universities to restrict the maneuverability of an athlete. Right now, we don't know. It's still out there, like I said, when we started this whole thing. I don't want to say it's all about nothing, because it's all about something very important. Okay, this is your life. It's my life, a portion of my life. And we have to figure out where we're going, because nothing is resolved with the exception of the lawsuit between Mensah and the university. We don't know if the UM got off the hook. That's confidential. We'll find out if the UM gets sued that they didn't get the release, that they probably weren't contributing on the front end. I mean, look, they could be whispering in his ear and say, look, you pay him $2 or $3 million, we'll make it up to you on the NIL. Because from what I heard, and I know you know this as well, they had a crazy, crazy NIL offer. It was around 10 million overall. It was involving his sister getting NIL, I think in Oregon or something like that. It was some nuts kind of thing. So if they don't have to pay him the 10 million in the NIL, or pay the family the 10 million, of house here and house there, and you say, okay, shh, we'll pay. We just need you. We need you so bad. We don't have a plan B. The UM didn't have one. And that's sad and scary too, because you dot your I's, you cross your T's, you make sure you got something in reserve. Maybe they were thinking, okay, Bernie Kosar did it when I was there. But Testaverde wasn't a freshman. Because I remember it was Kosar. Kosar left early, and then Testaverde stepped in. Because I remember, listen to this one. Now I'm going back. I remember calling the athletic department, the sports information director, to find out the stats of, I think it's Kyle Vandeweghe, Bernie Kosar, and Vinny Testaverde in the last scrimmage. The year that they won, when they went to Florida and got their butts kicked, I was actually in Gatorville, took a ride, the longest ride. It was a 5-hour ride to go see the Canes get their butts kicked up in Florida. They were 0-1, and then they just won out, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, ending with Kenny Calhoun knocking down the ball in the end zone, because Osborne went for 2 instead of going for 1 and winning the national championship. How crazy was that? And then there was a couple of games. I think there's a guy named Lastinger, if I'm not mistaken, a quarterback for Georgia, played great. These are things I remember from 1983. You tell me I don't have it. It's sports. Sports I know. Sports I can tell you. You know,
sports and the law.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Those are two really good things. Those are my vices, I guess. I got some others, but not during January anyway.
Well, listen, this has been tremendous as always. I think we covered everything I wanted to cover and then some with Alan K. Fertel. And I feel like I have you on retainer because like Miami has so many of these legal issues that come up. It's nice to be able to chat with you every time they're a defendant. Maybe we'll get some plaintiff situations in the near future. Alan K. Fertel of Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. Thank you so much, Alan, and thank you for the information. We'll talk again, hopefully not too soon, but maybe soon.
You know, I really appreciate you, Alex. You do great stuff for the Canes, for the ACC, and for me. Truth be told, why
God bless
lie?
you.
Why lie when the truth will do? That's what my dad used to say, and it's just true. To all your minion out there, hello, thank you for all the real nice comments. You guys made me feel good. I got to tell you, I enjoyed this. It turns out really good. We get a quarterback, we get a receiver, and we keep rolling, man. We keep rolling towards another national championship, hopefully. This year was really, really good. There was, a little bumpy, a little rocky. And Carson Beck did play really well. The shoe dropped finally. The clock struck 12. He's not the Cinderella anymore. He goes back to being the maid for a little while, and then he goes to the NFL draft. And let's really see what they think, because that's his next step. But we've got a quarterback, good quarterback, and hopefully he stays 2 years and we don't do this one and done stuff and have to keep going. Because if he's here 2 years, we'll get our money's worth. It's not the Orange Bowl anymore. We're at Hard Rock. They're not close with the metal seats and jumping up and down and on their throats. But, we won 56 games in a row at that place. And I was there, luckily, for a lot of those 56. Alex, you're the best. I really, of course, this is what we do. It used to be $5 no block.
I know. You remember that?
Of course. Of course. When we were there in law school, $5 no block. You know what they're getting now? I don't even want to go there. Marley games. And
well,
stuff.
to park at the national championship game was over $700.
That's like nuts, man. I mean, that's what a Super Bowl ticket face used to be.
Yeah,
$657. Right. I looked at the numbers. And you're talking parking. I understand that. I'm looking at numbers for the game. $10,000 for a ticket, and we're supposed to be in a recession. And then I just looked at Super Bowl, and it's just as nuts. It's really nuts. What can I tell you, Al? Thank you again. I've had a really, really tiring but good week, and thank you for having me on. And thanks for our emails crossing when we were thinking about each other at the same time. That's a little freaky. I'm sorry.
Well, and a shout out to Alan, because I thought I was up early today at around 5:30. My man's been up since 3 a.m. Well, let's get some rest. Can Miami give this man some rest so he's not on with us every couple days?
No, you know what? I get up early because I'm straighter than I can be. I'm dry and straight and healthy. And
good for you.
That's going to stop Super Bowl weekend. I'm going up to Innisbrook to see second and third grade friends play Copperhead 2 times and Stream Song once. And we all know where the bodies are buried. So it's a pretty good time with these guys. We all think we're so cool, but we all know each other then. I've got my center from high school. I was a quarterback. Wow. He's a center. I'm going to his house in Innisbrook. Anyway, have a good one. Thank you again. And thank you to your peeps. I love Locked On. You've done a great job with it. And you're doing real good. I'm proud of you, respectfully, just so you know, man.
Thank you. We'll talk to everyone again next time. And, we'll continue to break down Darian Mensah as a quarterback throughout the week on another episode of Locked On Canes. We're part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.